Everyone, thanks for joining us. My name's Adrian Stanley, the moderator of this session. So we'll start off by saying ni hao, hello in China, in Chinese. I'm just going to give a very sort of quick overview to the session and really what we've put together today, and then introduce the speakers. A little bit of just housekeeping. There is a break at 10 a.m. and normally that goes through to 10:30. I just ask if you could be back at 10:15, 10:20. We've just got such a sort of full program of sessions and speakers here that to fit everything in. As you see, the title is a comprehensive overview of the China market from author to reader. Then slightly underneath that, just as really as much as we can fit in 4 hours, we've got a real sort of diverse group of speakers, topics, case studies. So we're really sort of here aiming to sort of take you on a journey from authors to readers to speakers to sales to let you understand all the different aspects of working with China. There's not one aspect in this morning session. One thing we don't want you to do is sort of leave and come and find a closed jaw when you're thinking of working with China. So we hope that through this seminar you'll have enough insights and information to better work with China. So just very quickly to give you a flow of how the session's going to go, we've got a couple of speakers going to give us sort of a high-level overview of the China market, statistics, figures, demographics. Then we're going to sort of take a sort of logical flow and look at sort of authors and research in China. And then we're going to sort of take an inside look into the Chinese publishing market, what's happening internally in China, which I think not many people may be aware of, but there's a lot of change happening there. And then, of course, for publishers, we're going to touch on sort of the sales and marketing aspects and things you might be interested in selling your content. Really then moving on to some real tips and practical advice on how to do business in China and with China. And then sort of followed with a number of questions. Some of you did send questions in advance, so we have questions sort of here, but of course we really want to make this an interactive session, so feel free to sort of raise your hand and ask questions. You can all hear at the back and everything okay? Yep. So just a little background onto the panelists. We've got some experienced China hands who've lived and worked in China. We're very proud and privileged also to have Professor Yan Shui, who's is the president of the Chinese University Journal Society. Yan's travelled all the way over from China to talk on this session. So there, but we've also got some sort of new China hands, and I think it's important to learn lessons from people who have just begun to do business with China and understand some of the challenges they've faced. We've got some analytical data, some practical data. We've got a lot of people with a lot of different sort of aspects of knowledge. As I mentioned, sort of case studies. But I think the important thing is all the panel here, while we all work and understand and interact with China, we all feel we can keep learning and have, had a good session with all the speakers, sort of learning from each other. So I hope you will also take that away from this presentation. So very, very quickly, why is everybody interested in China? Sort of starting up, well, there are 1.35 billion people there, about a fifth of the world population. There's really been a rapid change in China since it sort of entered its reform period in 1978, and then the World Trade Organization. But China has had a continuous culture for 4,000 years and has invented a number of different sort of products, from printing through to fireworks. But really now China is seen as a developed and a global key influencer, sort of second down from the US in growth GDP. It's got the fastest GDP growth. It's investing a lot of money and government sort of infrastructure in research and development, and really changing to a sort of technology and research hub. So China, we sort of trying to encourage you to think China not just as a sales market, but as a market for authors, for content, and to think of a whole strategy for China from this session. So the one term we've sort of used a little bit is a bit like, you know, your carbon footprint. It's understanding what your China footprint is. It's not just about sales here. It's about how to interact with authors, how to understand what's really happening in China. And so at the end of the day, we hope the sort of door is going to be opened a little more widely for you to understand how to better work with China and interact. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Laura Ricci, who is an analyst from Outsell. And Outsell have just completed a sort of fairly large and major China countrywide report. For those who don't know Outsell are, you know, one of the leading market research companies who really do produce some really good reports. And this report they've done on China involved a number of interviews, meetings, really talking to a wide range of experts at a high level. So Laura's going to give us a sort of summary of that report and their findings and their views on China from a higher level. So I'll let Laura